Welcome to Fresh Catholic, a podcast for those who are converting, reverting, or simply want a fresh perspective of the Catholic faith to help them to open their hearts and minds to become closer to the love and goodness of Christ. My daily prayer is that I will be a bright light to others, to be filled with the love and light of Christ, so that when people look at me, they see Him radiating out from me for His glory.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lori Balderas, and I'm so happy you're here. Happy New Year's Day. Welcome 2024. I love that number, 2024. I don't know why, but it just seems like a nice number. So I hope you all had a wonderful, beautiful Christmas day and week after Christmas. And here we are on New Year's Day. I hope you are safe from last night. I hope maybe you're still in bed. Maybe you're still snugly in bed and, had a little bit too much celebration last night. That's okay. See, you can be here listening to Fresh Catholic. That's fine with me. In any case, I'm glad you're safe, happy, and healthy for the new year. So let's start this episode with some Fresh Catholic news. So I know you know what's happening today, not just this episode, but we are starting Fresh Catholic Daily. How exciting is that? Daily readings. These, of course, are in addition to the weekly longer topic episodes. So every day you can tune in to Fresh Catholic Daily and hear me reading the daily readings. So that way, if you're on your way to work or school, or you're at home and you're cleaning, or you're just resting, you can listen to the readings of the day. That, of course, is if you can't go to Mass. I love to go to Mass every day. I encourage you to go to Mass every day, but if you can't, you can listen to me, please. So I hope you share with your friends. I hope this is something that brings happiness and joy to your day, and I'm excited to do it. Also, please visit our online store. There's many awesome things to choose from on our online store that Simon has created everything on there. He's designed everything. So please go check it out. And when you purchase things, please tag me on social media, Fresh Catholic, so that I can see what you purchased and we can spread the word. Also, Fresh Catholic coffee, everybody. Oh my goodness. Please help support this ministry of Fresh Catholic Podcast by purchasing some coffee from freshcatholiccoffee.com. Yay! There will be links in the show notes if you don't remember what I'm telling you, and you can click on it, order, and all that money will help support this ministry, and we need your help. Please help us. Please follow me and share with your friends at Fresh Catholic on Instagram and Facebook. And I love to have you reach out to me and tell me you love those daily videos. So I will continue to do them. Also, please send questions you need to ask Deacon Dawn. We're going to start our new segment, Ask Deacon Dawn. If you want to know something, I'm sure other people will have similar questions. Like, let's say you think, oh, I'm not going to ask that. That's a dumb question. No such thing as a dumb question. Ask Deacon Dawn and he'll answer on the episode, and maybe it'll help other people. You can email me those questions at lori@freshcatholic.com. Again, in the show notes if you forget. I'm doing a speaking event on January 24th for Theologians on Tap. It's a group that meets. I'm going to be talking to them about how to remain faithful and how to be a good Catholic out in the world and in the workplace. How can you stay strong in your morals and ethics in the workplace? So thank you for inviting me. I can't wait to go. I have some amazing guests coming up in the new year. I have priest Peter Pomposello, an army priest who is on a mission to recruit men into priestly vocations in the army. So he will be one of my guests. I also have Sabrina McManigal, who has an amazing story of her path to Jesus and Catholicism. She has really gone through quite a lot in her life with alcohol issues and was on quite a dark path for many, many years. But she had an incredible encounter that gives me chills every time I think about it, that drew her to the church. And now she's in the RCIA program getting ready to be initiated into the church at the Easter Vigil. You're not going to want to miss this episode. I think it's very relatable. I think it's an amazing episode coming up. So please keep your eye out for that. Next week's episode, I have Jack Cooper coming on. He is a seminarian who attends our church, Our Lady of the Assumption Church in Ventura, and has attended school at our parish schools. And also he's Henry Cooper's older brother. Henry Cooper was the young man I had on episode 41, and he came on to talk about being a devout Catholic teenager. So as you can see, these two gentlemen have been raised by an amazing set of parents who have given them quite a faithful path. So keep an eye out for that one on Monday. And now, welcome my Fresh Catholic co-host in life, Simon Balderas.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hey.
Do you think in the new year you want to be my official co-host?
Well, I'm here every time you record, and I'm happy to sit in this chair every time you ask. So
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay. Because it could be like Regis and Kelly, but it's Simon and Lori.
Yeah. I hope I add something to this.
You do. You do. And everybody loves having you, as do I. So, welcome. So, 2023. Before we move to 2024, I want to do a little recap of 2023. I think that's kind of like what people do towards the end of the year. And see, here we are on January 1st. So we kind of didn't get to do a recap episode prior.
Right.
So here we're just going to spend a little time on 2023 and get the dust off of our boots
Okay.
before we shine them up and move into the new year.
Okay.
Okay. So it's going to be maybe some ups and downs here, but that's what you do when you reflect, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So 2023, what do we think about 2023? I mean, I think it was a ride. I think it was a roller coaster, not a fun roller coaster. I felt like throwing up a lot of the time.
Sometimes it's thrilling, though.
I mean, I wanted to throw up, and I think I screamed a couple times. And I might have like gotten really mad and said, why did you make me go on that roller coaster? But we had really rough moments.
Yeah. I know that on the onset of a new year, you're right. It's time to reflect about what we just went through. And coming up on this next year here, I always hesitate to anticipate what we're going to go through, because I would have never thought that we would go through some of the things that we did this last year in 2023.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
And I think that, that being said, you're 100% right, because it's like, I generally will start the new year and also the school year. Those were like my two new fresh start moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I go into it with the best attitude of like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. Again, brushing off the dust off my boots, and I'm going to like really have a positive attitude and go into it. But then life happens, and I have figured out more and more, that I'm becoming closer and closer to Christ, that I'm Catholic. All that's really such in the forefront of my life and my mind that I believe every year brings good and bad and challenges and highs and lows and all those things. That's very normal. It's just life, right? But I think what I'm learning now is, how do you handle those things? Things that I think prior to me becoming Catholic or having God so present in my life, I mean, I've been through some real rough things, and we know that because they've been in my past episodes. But I think before I had Christ in my life, I didn't handle those things at all.
Yeah. I think that it's all in the preparation of anticipating whatever might come your way. For example, when you got in your accident, you didn't have Christ in your life.
I became Christian a year before.
Okay. So you had a small amount of preparation.
I had a very simple version of God.
Okay.
Yes.
But imagine if you had a very deep relationship with Christ and then you got into that accident, how would you have handled it then? And I think that preparing for whatever God's going to set before you, that's so important. So I know I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I don't really mean to, but it just calls to mind that one of the things that I want to do this upcoming year, I want to spend time in preparation and arming myself with the words and wisdom of Christ.
We'll be right back. rising anti-Semitism, new generations redefining how they connect with Jewish traditions, changing dynamics among Jews around the globe. Take a deep dive into these topics and more on Mosaic, Exploring Jewish Issues, the podcast brought to you by the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County. Hear from the thought leaders, politicians, scholars, and artists at the forefront of Jewish life today. Subscribe to Mosaic, Exploring Jewish Issues, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, and like I think you and I talked about, one of our main goals of the year is to strive for more holiness, strive for more peace and calm. And when you bring up being prepared and like anticipating and feeling more solid, it really brings up that passage of, are you building your house on sand or are you building it on rock?
Right, exactly. And I guess what I'm trying to say, just to kind of be visual about it, is big movement now is people who are preppers. They
Doomsday preppers.
Doomsday preppers. They build underground bunkers and they fill it up with food to last them for 15 years and all of this really intense preparation. There's a big movement out in the desert areas where people are just living off the grid and just are really prepared. So they're doing everything in anticipation of, I guess, doomsday or something bad. I don't necessarily have that sort of vision about preparing, but I do want to have the same security that they feel if something bad was to come their way. So I want to be ready. I think that's what Christ calls us to be.
Well, he says, you never know. And, that's the thing is like we're living in such a crazy time right now. There's so many things going on. Again, if you look back over the history of the world, there's always bad things happening. There's always catastrophic things happening. And there's always great things happening and good things happening. That is life. I look back over 2023 and I think, gosh, there was a lot of anger, aggression, division, war. The trans issues are very divisive. All the things, swirling around the upcoming election. There's things with, higher prices on everything, gas and food and everything. It's a lot of negative, heavy things. And people are saying, is this the end times? I think people say that every now and then that does come up. But like you're saying, to be prepared, again, not out in the desert, it's more like in your own self that if tonight Jesus comes to take you, however that's going to be, are you ready? Are you in a state of grace?
Right.
Are you ready to go? And you can't put that off.
No.
It's better to prepare now and to keep your stock of canned goods up in your body of, okay, let's see. I'm leading a good, healthy life. I'm striving for holiness. I'm going to confession. I'm not sinning. If I sin, I go to confession. I'm really focusing on not committing mortal sins. If I do venial sins, I'm immediately addressing all these sins to make yourself clean and ready for that time and that day.
Yeah. I do know that throughout history, people have worried about the end of the world forever. Even in the first century, I believe that the first century Christians thought Christ was going to come when they were alive, but it's been 2,000 years since then. So I think that there's always this feeling and there's always sin in the world that people see and want to be separated from and so forth. But I think that nowadays, especially, the feeling has increased because things are moving a lot faster and faster. And every year it increases. It's just part of the way that the world works, this exponential factor where more technology comes out, more communication is faster. We hear more. We're more inundated by all kinds of things and social media and normal news media. Just driving down the street and billboards, we see all kinds of things happening in the world, and it causes anxiety and worry.
That's because it's too much.
Well, it is too much, but I also think that it was the same 500 years ago. They were worried about other things. They saw sin in their way, in their day and age. When a woman would show their ankle, I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening in this world? So now, again, it's increased exponentially to the point there's no escape.
Right.
We've been revisiting Downton Abbey again. And
Wonderful.
it's a great series, and it takes place in the time in the world where things were a lot slower, but it was at the advent where communication just started to increase. They had the telephone, the invention of the telephone. There was more intercontinental travel with railroads and trains and so forth. And the West was really becoming established. It wasn't no longer the wild, wild West. They were cities in Los Angeles, and then the movies came and all that kind of stuff. So communication started, again, exponentially increasing back then. So there was the same sort of thing happening. It happened a lot slower. Somebody might have read something in the newspaper, or they might have got a telephone call, or they might have gotten a letter. So they would get all this information and this stuff. But nowadays, it's instantaneous. All somebody has to do is send you a text or pull up social media, or did you hear about such and such? So it's just right in your face, present, happening right now. And that causes people a lot of worry. So there's no wonder for me that there's this feeling like, oh my God, this is the end.
I do feel everything is faster. Everything is instantaneous. There's even now the added stress of AI where you don't know if something's actually a real picture. You don't know if it's an actual real thing. We've talked about this before in other episodes. I get messages from people all the time. I don't know if they're legitimate. So I apologize to you if you're reaching out to me and I'm either not responding to you because I think you're, a robot, or I think you're a troll or something. So it's really hard to trust things and people in the world.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of, again, not that this is something new and fresh, with people conning other people or people presenting themselves as something else and they turn out to be complete opposite of what you think. You can't, I don't trust anybody.
Right. It's harder. And I think, again, it goes back to the idea of what you can do to combat that. And to me, it's preparation. It's preparing to be discerning when you get these emails and messages that you have to figure out, is this a real person? Right. I mean, as you know, I've gotten several job offers this year alone that have been completely false.
Right.
And they didn't want to offer me a job. They wanted money from me.
Right.
So it's really, really hard. And I now am more aware of that and more leery of these things too. So that's part of my preparation in my communications business-wise. It's a tough thing to do. But again, be prepared.
Yeah. Having that security of preparing to be ready for the Lord whenever he comes. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in our own life, let alone in our world. So I think knowing you have him with you, knowing that should be your goal, is that you're trying to be prepared to be right with the Lord. That, in my mind, gives me some peace. I mean, I like to be prepared. My dad was a Scout executive, be prepared was, his motto,
right.
Obviously. So I like to be prepared for things. I like to, have my ducks in a row, as they say. But life isn't like that. I've realized that more and more and more. You just have to be prepared for whatever comes your way.
Yeah.
And you have to know that, again, if you have the shield of Christ with you, or you have that foundation, yeah, you might be rocked, but it's not going to completely level your quote unquote house.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of want to even further define what I said about being prepared about things, because you can have knowledge, but how do you become supernaturally prepared? And I think by having a deep relationship with Christ, in knowing that Christ works in the supernatural, that's his business. So if you are confused about something, if you're confronted with a letter that looks like it's real or you don't need, pray to Christ that he helps you discern that and let him supernaturally give you the understanding, because I think that's where we're at right now.
Yes, I agree. So like we said, there's crazy stuff going on in the world. We've had some crazy things happening in our personal life this year. I'm sure we're not unusual in that. I think a lot of people are struggling in many ways. I think, again, that's something that's always happened. I just think we're kind of living in an intense time right now. And I just know that you and I, this year has been a little unnerving at times, and it's been unsettling at times. And I know we're both trying to really stay focused on what God's plan for us is. We've been praying for clarity. I know we've been praying for just His will, His will be done. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, we just pray that. And we have to really mean it when we say that. Mm-hmm. And God knows our hearts and everything. And it is hard sometimes when you don't see answers to prayers right away, or you don't think He's listening. I know lately I've had moments where I'm like, are you there? Because I'm just curious. I mean, I know you're there, but you're very quiet right now. And I just have to keep remembering, Lori, He loves you. He wants the best for you. It might not be something that He's ready to give you right now or ready to provide for you, but He's with you. I'm not giving up hope. I'm not giving up on Him at all. But it's been a real struggle this year. Financially, I know we're making plans to shift our plans for our business and our personal life. Of course, it's in God's hands, but it's been very stressful this year, money-wise.
It has. And part of the reason it's been stressful money-wise is that I've made a big shift personally in my career. As you know, Lori, I've been working in this film industry for over 30 years. And I've worked with a lot of very high-profile people that have a lot of money. I've had a lot of experiences where I've seen, honestly, what money can buy you. Working with even billionaires and in close quarters and close contact and creatively and so forth. And I can tell you this firsthand, 100% with certainty, that money does not buy happiness. As a matter of fact, most of the time it brings a lot of misery with it. Mm-hmm. And some of the people that I've worked with in this industry are immoral. They don't have Catholic scruples, I guess is what I can say to be kind. So I've seen a lot of people abuse others with their power and money. As you know, I've been kind of a victim of that a little bit in my career. People have taken credit for a lot of the things, a lot of my work that I've done in the film industry. And it's really, really rough. So this year has been a year that we've had to live with a lot less. And when I compare that, what I've seen in the world and what I've seen that this film industry can provide, which is money, and then us living with very, very little, I choose the latter because I don't want what their money can buy. I don't want that at all. Mm-hmm. And I think God is preparing us for something big. I feel that if we ever came into means, I know what we would do with it. I know that we would continue to live simply and give most of it away. I mean, I would love to do that. That would give me the best pleasure of all, is to give money away. And it's really been quite an eye-opening experience, particularly this year, because we have lived so low to the ground.
Mm-hmm. But I also feel like you've done this a few times since we've been together, where you have had a career situation where you pretty much had everything at your fingertips with the people you were working for. But ultimately, it wasn't worth it because they don't have scruples and they don't have morals and they don't have ethics. This has been a few people.
Right.
And that's why, one of the things that I not joking say is that this movie business, it's not really in our wheelhouse anymore because you've been doing it for years and years. I've been relatively new to this business with you. I just feel so strong in my morals and ethics that I don't want to do the things that we would have to do in order to be in their little club.
Right.
I'd rather be in Jesus's club.
Yeah. I do love what I do. I love photography. I love storytelling. I love writing. I love all those things. But I really have come to a point in my life where I just really want to do that for Christ.
Yeah.
If I could do that full time, that's what I would do. If God opens up that door for us, because honestly, that's kind of all I know how to do.
Right.
I've always told you I don't have any other skills
right.
other than to photography and writing and make movies.
Yeah.
Until He opens up that door, I'm just going to keep my head down in faith and really dive into Fresh Catholic and really try to do our best here.
I love that. It has been a struggle financially this year. There's been a lot of pretty devastating things that have happened the past couple months, especially, that are kind of too personal to even say on the podcast, but they've been pretty gosh darn devastating.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that on the flip side, we've been married now 8 years. We just had our 8-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
We were separated for over 3 years and moved back in last summer. That was a blessing that I wasn't expecting at that moment, and it was a blessing. And I just feel like all these things we've been going through this year, especially in the past couple months, I just tell you almost every day, I'm just so happy I'm here. I'm so happy we're back together, living together. I'm so happy we have each other. I feel like because we're back together under the same roof, feel like it's the three of us, me, you, and Christ, on a more regular basis together here, like instead of being disjointed.
Right.
Obviously, God knows everything that's going to happen, and he knew probably that these pretty devastating things would be happening towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And we would need each other, like in closer proximity.
Yeah, I believe that we need each other, and I believe that maybe there's a reason you're bringing that out to light to your listeners. And if there's anything that I would ask of your listeners is just to pray for us in these situations, that God would do his will and protect us from whatever we need to be protected from, and that he would prevail in the end. That's really, well, regardless of where we end up.
Yeah. Yes. Please pray for us. We really need it. We would really appreciate it. So on a happier note, that was all the doom and gloom, guys. That was all the doom and gloom.
Yeah.
I know we have to address it.
Yeah.
I don't want to act like none of this stuff is happening, because we're all in the same boat.
Right.
In the world.
Yeah.
Stuff's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's immune to it, really.
Mm-hmm.
You're being affected in this world by all the craziness of 2023. But looking back on 2023, I would say that we had some miracles, and I love a good miracle, as we know. So us getting back together, living under the same roof after, a lot of uncertainty, that's to me a big miracle, and I'm really happy about that. My son Taylor and his longtime love Chloe got married this year. And if you know anything about my son Taylor, you know that he's had a really hard life, and it's been very hard and stressful and sad. And yet he got married this year, and I couldn't be happier. So that was a very big surprise, and I'm just thrilled by that. I got to spend Christmas with two of my children and my grandchildren this Christmas, and my youngest son, Cody, has been very estranged from me for a few years, and I haven't spent Christmas with him since 2018, and this year I got to do that, so that was a blessing. He was the first person that texted me on Christmas. That hasn't happened, maybe ever. So those to me are huge blessings. And then you have a grandchild that was just born.
Yes, I have a grandchild that's just born. Her name is Lenora, Lenny for short.
Lenny.
Yes.
How cute.
I know. Very, very cute. I was surprised to hear the name, and I love it. It's an old-fashioned name, which I love old-fashioned names. Mm-hmm. That's definitely a blessing. And I can say for myself, the one thing that I'm so grateful for this year in 2023 is getting closer to Christ. I feel it's been a huge growth year for me spiritually, and that has really made a difference in every way, through the good times and through the bad. And for example, imagine us going through what we're going through, the things that we just mentioned, separated. Mm-hmm. How would that be?
Not good.
Not good.
That's why I was saying I think it's good he brought us back together physically.
Yeah, and I feel like God orchestrates things according to his will, and that was meant to happen. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that I feel like you've been really more focused. I know you just had an experience that I think really helped you towards the end of the year. And we got a message from one of my listeners who she's actually going to be a guest. And she sent me a video for me to watch, and I forwarded it to you. And it really impacted you. How so?
It did. It's really awoke me to the battle that's raging in the spiritual realm, and how to react to the world around you while having this spiritual mind. very, very specific instruction, which I need sometimes to kind of wake me up to what's really, really going on. Because a lot of times when bad things happen, I always just kind of throw my hands up and say, why?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? Why are you allowing this?
Mm-hmm.
And that gave the answer to me as to why God does allow really hard times. And
The video
that I watched, and how to prepare yourself with that, and how to put on a different thinking cap, and really instructive things that you need to do to overcome some of these tough things. And one of the things that I learned is that utilizing the sacrament of reconciliation is really, really important to keep yourself pure, even if it's just venial sins that you have to go and talk to the priest about, even if it's that. And so you gave me that video. I think that night I went to confession, and I had a miraculous confession. I had things happen to me that I would never expect. And I went to the confession. It ended up being a reconciliation service. So there was hundreds of people there, and many, many priests, which
you weren't expecting.
I wasn't expecting. I went there at 5:00, and a woman came up to me and goes, "I'm sorry, there's no confession today." And it just happened to be that they were having adoration. So she said, "We're going to have a confession at 7. And I looked at my watch, and it was just before 5. And I said, well, I guess I'm sitting in adoration for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So I did that.
So that in itself, God really wanted you to go to adoration that day.
He really did. And it was really powerful. It was really meaningful. I got into some deep, deep prayer. And then I went into confession. And that itself was miraculous. I won't get into the details of that, but it was so powerful. I walked out weeping. I cried in my car for a little bit, came home. It just really brings tears to my eyes right now just thinking about it. But it was an amazing, miraculous experience.
Well, and I know when I got home, you said, "I'm clean as a whistle." And then you told me it was quite an event.
Yeah.
And I know you hadn't been in a while. It's interesting, again, like how that transpired.
Yeah.
And I think you're a little more open and awake to what the signs that you're being given by God, or the breadcrumbs or the stepping stones He's trying to lead you on. I just thought that was amazing that you went and did that, because I think it was very necessary. God definitely wanted that to happen. That's the whole thing, is when God's trying to show you something, you have to just go do it.
Yeah.
Like not say, "Oh, that's great, and I'll go to confession tomorrow." You like, I'm going to confession, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I felt I needed to be very obedient to that message. I felt like it really spoke to me. And God wants us to be clean and pure. He does great things for people who are clean and pure. It's really, very, really important to do that. And, I heard some things that were really striking to me about remaining in any kind of sin, and especially mortal sin, that God really dislikes that. And it's hard for us to accept that He may not necessarily be answering you if you're living in a lot of sin.
Mm-hmm. Well, because sin is separating yourself from the Lord.
Yeah.
You're doing that. He's not doing that to you. You're doing it.
Right. And so I thought, gosh, whatever sins I have, I want to be clean. So I couldn't wait to go to confession. I wanted to run in there and, can I go to confession even if it's not the day? But I found a confession that I was able to, and that was the experience I had. And it was just amazing. And I've just been so pleased. And just in my conversation with Christ, in my alone time, I feel so much better in speaking to Him. I feel like, wow, He's really, really listening to me. Wow, I'm really, really clean. And He's pleased with that. And it's a good feeling. It's kind of like if you did all your chores at home when you were a little kid, and you mowed the lawn, you even did some little extra stuff for your parents, and your dad comes home, you'd be excited to see him.
Right.
That's kind of what it was like.
Right. And I know you said, like, you were driving away and you kind of got, like, frustrated with somebody when you were driving. You said, "Oh, I got to go back."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was the next day. But yeah.
Well, He's always there and He's always listening.
Yeah. Yep. I know. It's true.
Yeah. So I do encourage people to go to confession, because it does make you feel great.
Yeah. I may even make it a weekly thing. I don't know.
That would be amazing. So I do feel like all those miracles, they help get us through. I'm really happy that we're here together. I think that's really helping me. I have security issues and abandonment issues, so I'm feeling really good lately. So all those things are positive. There is going to be negativity in the world. There's going to be bad things that happen. But again, preparing yourself, being right with the Lord, being in a state of grace, doing everything you can to achieve those things.
Yeah.
Like instead of going, oh, I don't want to go to Mass today. Oh, I don't want to take time to pray the rosary. I don't want to go to confession and pray to a priest. All those things, you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Not you, Simon Balderas, but people in general.
Yeah.
You're just hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you something to do? Because I think that it really impacted me, that video that your friend sent you and that you sent to me. Can you put a link in that in your show notes? Because I think that would be important that
Yes.
people would watch. Okay.
Yeah. The priest, I don't know his name, but I think he's a certain flavor for certain people.
Yeah.
I think he has a little gruff exterior, but his messages are great.
Yeah.
So
No, he's very, very well known. He is one of the very few demonologists. He does exorcisms in the Catholic Church. His training is in Rome and at the Vatican and so forth. And so he's a big, big deal.
yeah, so we'll put the link in the show notes if you want to have a listen. So New Year's resolutions. Do you do New Year's resolutions? I don't, but do you?
I do adopt, I guess, an attitude about going into the new year. But honestly, if anybody would have a New Year's resolution, I think it would be you, because you're really organized in your thinking. And so,
but I don't.
yeah, I know you do.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Just the word New Year's resolution, the word resolution, it's setting up to fail. Okay. It has a bad connotation to me because most people don't keep their resolutions.
Mm.
It kind of reminds me of, I don't like the word diet, because the second you say you're going on a diet, you get hungry.
Right.
If you say, I'm just going to start eating better, I'm going to start leading a more healthy lifestyle, I'm going to start exercising more and eating more clean and healthy foods,
Mm-hmm.
then the odds of you doing better are much higher than if you say I'm on a diet.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I feel the same way about New Year's resolutions. So I like to call them New Year's goals.
Okay.
Okay. So again, I love the beginning of the new year. I love my new fresh schedule book.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me great joy. I haven't really dived into that yet, but I'm going to, and I like to make it all neat and tidy, and then it becomes very sloppy by the end of the year. But I have New Year's goals, and they're generally things that I think I can accomplish. I'm not saying they're easy. It's just I like the word goals better. It's not a very long list, to be honest with you. But my goals are more prayer, more adoration, more reading, and more regular confessions.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like obviously if you must go to confession, you go when you need to go immediately. But I'm talking about kind of like you're saying, like just to kind of keep that clean vessel going.
Yeah.
I know Father Matthew has really encouraged me to go more often. And so, I mean, I'm going way more often than I used to, but I could go more often and have it be more of a regular thing, just for those venial sins, for just anything, just to make sure I'm a clean vessel. And then I want to plan a meaningful Lent again this year. Add some new things I haven't even thought about, but it's coming up quick because Ash Wednesday's on Valentine's Day this year.
Okay.
So it's going to be a weird day. But anyway, so that's coming up fast. And then I just want to simplify.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean like simplify our stuff.
Yeah.
And also I want to simplify my attitude.
Mm. Okay. Wow. I love all those goals.
Yeah.
That you have. If I was to make any statement about setting a goal, or I don't even know how to frame this, but I want to continue on this path that I feel that I'm on and strive towards holiness. And I think in doing that, it involves a lot of the things that you discussed. And I really love the idea of simplifying. As you know, I really want to simplify our lives towards the end of this upcoming year. So I guess that is kind of a goal.
Mm-hmm. I think that's our word of the year.
Yeah. Simplify. Okay. I just want to be closer to Christ, and I think that requires me personally striving towards holiness and all that entails, which is more prayer, more adoration, more confession, more all of those things, more of God in my life and less of the stuff.
Yeah, more God. I like that.
Yeah.
And also, when you start simplifying and eliminating all this, as I call it, noise or chaos, the more we can simplify, it's going to quiet the distractions.
Yeah.
And we can focus more on these more important things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yay, we're on that same.
Yeah, I think that's great, Lori. I really am excited for
Beautiful.
this.
Beautiful. See, already 2024 is looking up. And then plans for this year. Again, a lot of these are very God-related, are very faith-related.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really have goals that are other than Christ-related, I guess, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I hadn't thought about it till I just looked at my little list here. But my plans for the year are to focus more on Fresh Catholic. One of the things is we aren't doing as much film work, so I think you and I both have a lot of plans for Fresh Catholic. And so that's something I want to do, the episodes, the Fresh Catholic Daily. I really want to make that special. I think that's something I want to do. I want to try to spend more time with my grandchildren because they're all growing up and I want them to know me. And I feel like they don't know me well enough. And that's sad to me. So I just want to make that a good priority because if I don't spend time with them, they can't learn and take on family traditions and our family culture if I'm not around to do that.
Yeah.
So that's really important to me. And then I really want you to hold me to this one.
Okay.
I want to start writing my book
Great.
because I have 2 books I want to write. I would be happy to write one, but I don't know which one I want to start with. But I want to do Halo, which is about my accident. And I want to do my fictional story called The Chapel.
Right.
And so I think 2024 is when I want to start. And that's one of my goals.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to pester you about writing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy.
How about you? Do you have plans for this year?
Well, of course, I always have plans, but sometimes these plans morph into other things. So I'm going to call them plans, but I'm not going to call them set plans because it's up to God if he allows these things. I do want to say that, as you know, I really surround myself with creative things. I have a lot of creative passions, and I want those creative passions to not go dormant just because I'm not in the work striving to make a movie in the film industry or what have you. But I want God to use those creative passions of mine in some way. I definitely, absolutely am going to be writing a lot more. I'm going to be utilizing my photography and cinematography skills for him in the way that he wants me to, whether it's us making a documentary or short narratives or what have you. As you know, I'm always making some kind of short film or something. So I just want to really take a hold of this creativity. It just kind of comes out of me. I can't necessarily stop it, but I want to give it to him to use for his glory.
Right. And I think, that's interesting you say that because I think one of the things that lately has been frustrating is, maybe not lately, but pretty much the whole time I've known you, is you've always done work that's benefited other people or made them famous. And we certainly haven't benefited from any of those things that you've done in any way.
Yeah.
It's been more negative towards us than positive.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're off being millionaires and billionaires and we're sitting here scraping by. So that's why I'm saying I'm not interested in the movie business. I don't need you to make episode 15 of whatever. Everybody's just doing remakes and mega movies. And it's like, I think one of the things you and I have tried to figure out is still making meaningful, beautiful projects or movies, like we're saying, but for the Lord.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only way that I can see us still doing this type of work is with that.
Yeah.
Because the other way, I just don't want to have anything to do with it. It doesn't interest me at all. It actually makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
And I think you have been given such a gift, us shifting our mindset of you don't have to give it up altogether, but make it something that shows his beauty. And when I write The Chapel and Halo, we can make those movies.
Okay. And I have been really changing what I do on a daily a lot, which is I do have a lot of resources. I have cameras and computers, and I know how to do a lot of digital manipulation and make movies and edit and all that kind of stuff. So what I have really been doing lately is doing the things that I can do with my very own hands. Because as you know, making movies, it's a very collaborative industry, and it requires a lot of people, actors, and all kinds of producers and so forth. But it doesn't necessarily have to. Especially if you're into animation. You could be an animator just on your own and write your own story and animate whatever. So that's what I am really just seeing, just to kind of start to do things that I can with my own hands. As you know, I did a series of videos on my own with no help at all that I started to do at the beginning of, what was it, last year?
This year of 2023.
Yeah, beginning of 2023. So this time around, I'm going to be doing that, but I'm going to be doing it really more with the mind of Christ. That's really what I want to do.
Well, and again, simplify. We're simplifying.
Yeah.
Because we decided having, all those people around is not working for us.
Right.
And God is definitely, I feel, turning us away from that industry because it's been very sparse. And it's not because you're not good at what you do. It's that he's trying to shift us, I feel, to go down a different path. And I think we've been resisting him a little, and we need to, in 2024, really surrender more. Even if we surrender, we need to surrender more.
Right.
And trust more.
Yeah.
And I'm just speaking for myself right now.
Well, no.
I feel like, I love the Lord. I trust him. I say to him every day, I surrender to your will. But it's more like one of those things where you just have to have that trust. When you do that trust game and you fall back and you hope somebody's going to catch you, God will always catch you.
Yeah.
He's not going to let you shatter on the floor. So I think that goes back to the simplify. I guess I look around and I think we have, like I say, things that we could simplify our life, and we can get rid of a lot of things and make things more important.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. And then my attitude for this year, this is what I'm saying now. Well, maybe in the 2024 recap, we'll go over and see if we
that would be a good thing.
Any of these.
Yeah.
My attitude for this year: calm, peaceful, simple.
Got it. Yeah, I concur with those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even when other people aren't calm, peaceful, and simple, I want to try for this. And how can we make 2024 more positive? And I'm talking to you listeners, not just me and Simon. How can we all make 2024 more positive? It's all those crazy things from 2023 aren't going to go away suddenly, magically. I mean, unless there's a huge miracle. A lot of it has to do with our attitude also. Instead of getting sucked into anger, hate, division, all these things, you can start by working on your own little circle, your own little area, and then have it radiate out into a bigger group where, in order to stay positive, we need to stay strong in our faith, all of us.
Yeah.
Not give up, not say, oh God, where is he? He's causing all these things to happen. If he was a God who loves us, he wouldn't be letting these things happen. Well, you know what they say? When something bad happens, it's to bring out the greater good of something.
Right.
So I try to think about that all the time. I think, okay, this is really bad happening, but he's going to have some wonderful reveal at the end of this where we go, oh, that's why that happened. And try to not let negativity get at us. When people are being negative, I get a lot of angry, hateful comments on social media, and I choose to not respond to it.
Of course.
All have people, they're going at it with each other. I'm not involved.
Right.
They're going at it. People are mad and people defend, and I don't want to be involved in that. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm not going to engage in that. So I don't want negativity to taint my mindset and to deter me from my mission of drawing more people to Christ. This isn't about me. This is about drawing people to Christ.
Yeah.
And also, just because I love the Lord, I love church, I love being Catholic, I want to spread that out to other people so they want to see what's going on and why do I love it so much.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you say that because, as you know, I've been especially this year, really intrigued with the lives of saints and reading about the saints and how they live their lives. And one of the things that really inspires me and intrigues me is they have this peace and this calm and this simplicity and this love for Christ and devotion and so forth. And it inspires me to say to myself, I want some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like that. I want to strive for that. So my hope, I guess, for others is that this feeling that I have is contagious.
Yeah.
And the people that I'm around, I want them to really feel like, I want some of that.
Yeah.
I want some of that peace. I want to be inspired like that. That's
Yeah.
what I hope for.
Well, because I know I've had people, like before I was Catholic and all that, oh, you're so strong, you're so strong. I am a strong person. I've been through a tremendous amount and I'm still here, but that doesn't mean it's been easy. And that doesn't mean I'm not really struggling. But more lately, I do have more peace. I do feel really secure that God is with me all the time, 24/7. I feel confident in that. And I don't want outside interference or Satan thinking he can rock my boat. He's trying, man. The end of 2023, he was rocking our boat. We were on some big tidal waves. And we're just holding on. And if you don't have that in your life, you need to strive to have more Jesus in your life and to give you that peace and calm and security. I want to do enjoyable things more often. I think you and I work all the time. And I think that we're getting a little bit better at having shut off time, having a day off, one day off. And when I say enjoyable things, it doesn't mean our life isn't enjoyable. It just means we don't ever get to do anything that's fun, or we don't get to do anything that's like a luxury. And I don't really need luxuries, like fancy luxuries. So let me clarify that. It's like maybe having a nice dinner instead of just our normal dinner. Maybe getting to go to a movie every now and then. Just little things that might be something to look forward to. Because I feel like we're just constantly working and constantly worrying about money. And I don't want to do that all the time. Because that's one reason I want to spend time with the grandchildren. Or I'm enjoying spending time with you watching Downton Abbey.
Mm-hmm.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little escape that we do that. And I love that. So I'm not a very fancy girl. I'm very simple. But I just think it would be nice to have some enjoyable things to look forward to. Do you agree?
Yeah. More downtime.
More downtime. And this is going to sound weird. Maybe this doesn't sound positive, but to not rely on others so much. To rely on God. To make our life more positive. Because if we're trying to rely on humans, our experience has been that they're hard to deal with a lot of the times. I do have to say at the end of 2023, we had a lot of very supportive people come forward and help us in a lot of our needs. And I'm so grateful to all those people because it was a big, deep struggle. And so I do really appreciate that. But I just think more positively thinking about putting all my eggs in God's basket, because then humans disappoint. And how can we combat evil? Because it's still here. So I'm just going to go with your same theme. Strive for holiness, work on virtues, being virtuous. I feel like if you're spending your time thinking about those things, how can I strive for holiness? How can I be virtuous? And you're actually acting on those, that combats evil because you're striving to be good.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to say I have an opposite perspective on that. I do think we should definitely strive towards holiness. We should definitely strive to have those virtuous things in our lives. But regarding evil, honestly, I try to ignore it. I don't even like to say the devil's name and all that kind of stuff. I pay him no attention. My gaze and my eyes are focused and fixed on Christ. I may be surrounded by all this evil stuff, but I'm not paying any attention to it. And I say that really strongly because I get a little, I don't want to say angry, it's not the right word. I get annoyed by when I hear things like the devil's after me, or it's evil, it's this, it's all around me. Then just look at Christ, just look at his face and ignore those things because they've already been defeated. And I take that strong position that I just ignore it.
Oh my gosh, that can be one of my New Year's goals.
Okay.
Because I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
Because I do put way too much. Like Deacon Don has even said to me, you're giving him too much credit.
Too much credit.
Yeah.
Way too much credit.
And I
totally
need to
agree.
stop that.
You need
Okay, so now you're both saying it. So, okay.
Yeah.
So that will be, everybody, you're hearing it here. That's going to be something I'm going to work on this year. That'll be one of my big goals, is to not give Satan the time of day.
Yeah. Just ignore him.
Bugger off, Satan.
Look, his destiny has already been determined, but ours, it hasn't. He lost his free will. We haven't. We still have it. He wants to turn people into losing their way. Just don't. Just focus on Christ. Him and his little army, they've already been defeated. They're doomed. And I'm not going to participate or even give him the time of day. I want what he has.
Okay, you've inspired me.
Okay.
So that will be one of my goals. Help me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, help me, because I'm weak in that.
Yeah.
I'm very weak in that.
Yeah.
I do give him too much credit.
Yeah, don't give him any credit.
Okay, so I need you.
Okay.
Okay. So in closing on this episode, I will really encourage all of you listeners to come up with your own ideas and goals. Come up with your own plans for this 2024. Put Christ first. I think that's a great thing. Put Satan last. Don't even put Satan on the board. How about that? Attend Mass more often. Go to adoration. Pray the Rosary. Listen to Fresh Catholic weekly podcast and Fresh Catholic daily, and share with your friends. I really appreciate this conversation with you, Simon Balderas.
Thank you.
I'm happy that we're going into 2024 together.
Yeah, no, me too. And I know, every time we start these conversations, I really feel like I resist them. I'm really hesitant
You do.
to get into them. It's so hard for me. I can't even explain it. But once I get into it, I really enjoy it. So thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you came. All right. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. Now go out and be a bright light in someone's life. And remember, be focused, be faithful, and be fresh.
Fresh Catholic is produced, edited, and recorded at Wonder Mouse Studios in Ventura, California.